prepping like a mad woman for East Austin Studio Tours. And then also at this time, shit was starting to go down at the place that I was living. And that's a whole nother story in itself. But I was like, okay, I need to find a new place to live. Yeah. And so I was concerned and worried because I was like, well, shit, now I'm part-time and I need to find a new place. And I was now wanting to live in a house because I wanted my own studio space. I wanted a backyard for the dogs, and I was just continuing to dream big, right? Yeah. And I was like, all right, well, if I want that, that means my budget's going to go up. And I also need to, like, prove that income. Yeah. So I talked to my boss and told them the situation, and they let me go back full-time for the month of December. Nice. Which was really incredible, like, because that way because in my head I was like,
things you needed to
do the things I need to do, prove that income, and then just like go back to what I was doing.
Yeah, that's amazing. They let you do that.
Very amazing.
That is huge.
Very.
I'm not sure what company this is, but I feel like most corporate companies aren't usually that accommodating.
No, they really did a lot for me.
That's amazing.
Like 100%, and I am super grateful for that. But. The way that things happened in December, in November, I was just not expected. Things happened at a much quicker time frame than I had anticipated. Mm-hmm. I was thinking I was going to be finding a place by the end of December. Ended up moving into a new space at the beginning of December. I thought that was going to be temporary. That turned out to not be temporary. And then I continued staying on full time at the job. They asked me to stay on full time for like January and February, because it was like trade show season and they just needed more support. And I was like, well, fuck it, I will. Like, why not? Now I'm just like making extra money. Things were finally like starting to settle down with like the craziness that went on towards the end of last year for me. And I was like, well, why not? Like, I'm living in this new place. Like, I'm saving money. Like, I'll make extra money. Like, sure. Yeah. And I was supposed to go back part-time in April of this year. This is now 2022. And, it was just that feeling was growing, like, more and more and more of, like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, why am I continuing to put my time and energy into this thing that is sucking me dry, and I don't have energy afterwards to create or feel like doing anything at all? Yeah. Like, it's just completely changing my mood, and I'm feeling completely depleted. And, like, for what? For a sense of security? For a paycheck? For a steady paycheck? And I was, just debating that and, like, battling that for, like, a really, really long time. Yeah. And, like, really fighting with, like, the logical side of my brain and society and what they tell you and, like, everything. And also just, like, going with, like, what feels right. Yeah. And, I mean, multiple conversations that I had, and the final one with Tim.
we met to get, or you can share it because it's your story, but it was amazing.
So it was March, and Tim and I met up to, I think you were giving me the stone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to go over details from my ring.
Yeah. So, Tim was getting a custom ring made, and he got a stone cut down, so we were, like, meeting up for that. And I remember that week. Oh my God, that week.
And it was also right before your trip.
Oh.
It was like a week and a half for the desert again.
Yeah. Okay, so.
That was a great morning.
Oh my God, so many stories. So, I had pre-planned this already. Like, this was already going to happen. At the end of March, I was taking a solo trip back to the desert for my birthday, which is now, like, a thing.
That's what you do.
It's what I do. And I was going to go out to West Texas. I was turning 30, like, excited, stoked to do that. And, yeah. So, and then, like, 2 weeks prior to this, met up with Tim, and, you know, I was just like, I don't know, I think I just probably, like, dumped all of my feelings and emotions out to you about, like, you know, things going on at work and how unhappy I was, and, you know, how I was like, well, I'm just going to go part-time in April and, you know, figure it out from there. Yeah. And then I was also talking about, like, the success that I was having in my business. You know, I was, like, trying to prove to myself that I could make money. And, like, one weekend I ended up doing, like, a story sale and made, like, $2,000 in, like, 24 hours. And I was like...
This was the Monday or Tuesday after that weekend.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, you can do this. Yeah. You know?
When she shared some of those things, I'm like, you do realize you are making your case so much stronger the more you're talking about this. And she's like, oh, yes, that's true. I'm like...
You know, I always thought about quitting, but it was honestly in that conversation where, like, I felt it.
I saw it too. I saw it switch.
Yeah, like, it's a completely different thing between thinking something and then feeling it.
And, like, knowing it, like, a deep knowing, you're like, this is the only way.
Yeah. And I remember, you know, I remember saying that to you, that I was, like, gonna go out to my trip and, you know, have that time to figure things out and then come back and be part-time. And then I remember you exactly, you were like, well, you could quit now, go to the desert. When you come back, you're a free woman. And I was like,
I'm like, use the desert as a time to be like, all right, now I'm free. Like, what about to come back? And the light bulb switched for her. I was like, she sees it. She's got it.
I was like, oh my God. And I was like, I mean, the energy moving inside of me was outrageous.
It was palpable.
Like, it was like, whoa, holy shit. Like, am I about to do this? Like, am I going to go home and type up this, like, you know, email and do it? Like, am I about to do this? You know? And one thing I did for myself at the beginning of this year is I hired a financial advisor. And I was like, I'm going to be smart about this, you know, like, as I'm, you know, starting to create wealth for myself, and I do have a business, and I do want to do this full time, and all this sort of stuff. And I remember even prior, they knew that's my trajectory of quitting and doing jewelry full time. And the last meeting that we had, I stated, like, on a scale of, like, 1 to 10, like, how dumb of it would it be for me to quit my job right now? Mm-hmm. You know, and like, well, we can just plan for it, you know. And so I remember even, like, talking to Tim and me being, like, scared and nervous. I'm like, how do I tell my financial advisor that I just quit my job? Like, you know, it's like feeling like shame around that.
They're your advisors.
I know, but still.
I know.
You know, and it's just like freaky.
Yeah.
It's fucking freaky.
Yeah.
And anyway, I went home that day and I, like, made a lot of calls. I was like, I'm gonna do this. And, like, in February, I was in Tucson for the gem show, and I met a homegirl who we are now, like, great friends. She lives in California. She's also a jeweler. We just, like, instantly connected. And I hit her up, and I was like, yo, like, you're doing this full time, right? Like, trying to, like, pick her brain. Mm-hmm. And we then had, like, a million voice notes going back and forth, and she was just basically like, you've got this. You know, and telling me about her experience with when she decided to fully commit to herself, and how, like, that just opened up so many opportunities and doors for her, and that, like, you know, you really do open yourself up to having so much more, like, space to be able to do what you want to do. Yeah. And, you know, it's nice receiving compliments, but it's really cool to receive a compliment from, like, another jeweler. Yeah. Of, like, girl, like, you've got this, like, what you do is really unique, like, your marketing is really great, like, your photography is really great, the way you write is really great, like, all this sort of stuff. And I was just like, okay, all right. And so I, like, I remember I was shaking. Like, I was on the couch typing this up, and I was just staring at it, like, hands quivering. I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to send in, like, my 2 weeks notice. And I did it. I fucking hit send. And I remember I just, like, literally ran around the house screaming. I was just like, because I didn't know what to do with myself. I was like, what did I just do? Like, there's no takes backsies on this one. Like, no, like, Control Z. Like,
I remember you texted me. I was at a client's house, and I get a text like 4 hours later. She's like, I quit it. Internally, I was screaming. I couldn't come. I was like, yes, she did it. I think I said something when we were at lunch. Like, there's an idea to act before the idea dies.
Yeah.
And I saw. I was like, you need to do this today. I told you that.
Yeah.
And I was so glad you did. So happy.
And I did it, and then it's been just like fucking epic from there. Like, I continued to receive confirmation that I made the right decision for myself. Like, that entire week, the way that things ended up playing out was like, again, just the universe being like, yeah, girl, you needed to do this, and you've got this, and you're supported, and you're okay, and everything's gonna be all right. Yep. And then, did my last like week or so at work, because I already had my trip planned.
Yeah. Only like 5 days.
It was only like 5 days.
The rest of that week.
Yeah, because I already had this trip planned. So then I like went out to the desert as a free woman. I turned 30.
Came back,
and like a lot has happened since. But that's
wow.
That's how that all happened.
I want to take a second and just say one of the themes in your story that seemed to pop up was feeling it versus thinking it. And that came up several times. Feeling it versus thinking it. The other one that popped up that was really interesting was the environment. Like, how much the environment that you were in actually impacted the space that you had to do things that you wanted to do. And as you constantly like tailored that environment more and more to you, you got more and more insight into what you actually wanted to do.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really, really interesting. Very noteworthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, Tim, to sort of round us out, your final question.
Yeah, so if you could give your future self, either 2, 5, 10 years from now, any kind of message, whether it be encouragement, advice, just a reminder, like if you were to listen to this in 10 years or in 5 years, like who you are now, like the dreams you had, things you know you want to accomplish, who you want to become, where you want to live, all of that, like what would you say to that version of yourself?
5 years, I'll be 35. 10 years, I'll be 40. I mean, just fucking get it, girl. Like, don't stop.
That is the name of your episode.
Get it, girl.
Just fucking get it, girl.
Just, I mean, the one thing that I continue to learn from any experience and every experience is I know best, and I need to trust myself and trust that feeling. I don't work off of logic, and I absolutely work off of feeling and emotion. And my feelings and emotions are always guiding me. They're always right. Even if I want them to be wrong, they're not. And I'm, really learning to listen and trust and just go with it. And, I'm excited. I'm excited to be 40 years old and see myself. Like, I mean, that's got 40-year-old me. Yo.
Can't wait to see it.
Love it.
I can't wait to see it. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for telling us your story.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
This is the first of many times we will check in. Next time you'll be for sale in all of the stores.
The world famous Jewler.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know if that's what I want.
That's true.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows?
We'll have to come back in and check and see, like, what do you want now?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of this thing.
Yeah.
Called life.
Yep.
Amazing.
Awesome. This is Before Hasmig Was.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to today's story. You can follow us on Instagram at before.they.work.